So hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 95 and in this video we are talking about references, and you can see it here, a reference declaration actually. And what is a reference declaration? This is actually an ampersand. This is this ampersand here, and you can see also we have here two kinds of declaration, one with one ampersand and one with two ampersand, but at start we will only concentrate on the reference declaration with one ampersand. And now what is a reference declaration? And we read for this line because it describes it perfectly. It says here, declares a name variable as a reference that is an alias to an already existing object or function. So this line, let's see what this means. So we need a new variable, this one, and this new variable need an already existing object or function. In our case, at start, we use just an already existing variable because that's easier. So let's do this now and see what we can do. And let's create a variable, in my case int my telephone number, and I assign it here this number. So now we have the first part. We have made an existing object or function, in our case an existing variable. Perfect. Now the second part is, when we create now a reference, we need to refer to this one, and when we are referring to this one, we need to use also the same type. So I start with the same type, int, and now I need this ampersand, which indicates we want this new variable which we are going to create right now as a reference. So, and now we choose a new name, and I call this my telephone number reference. And the next step is we have to assign this already existing object to this one. That's why I'm using here the assignment operator, and I just copy here the variable name. So I copy it, I paste it, and that was it actually. That was creating a reference. So you can see this line and this line looks very similar. The only difference is at here, this ampersand after the type. This is an indicator that this is a reference. So when you see this one in a code, think all time that this one is a reference. So the next step is what it means, why we need a reference or why we use it. First of all, let's understand what a reference is a little bit more in detail. So it says this reference is an alias for this one, and alias means I can use now this name instead of this name. And that's very important also when I change the value. And before we change this, let's put this one out. So I put this one out. First I put our original number out. Let's copy this one here. Let's paste this one here, and then I copy out the next one. Let's copy this one here, perhaps on start as well. Paste this one here, and now I copy this reference here, and I just print these two values out, right? So there is nothing special. And when I start this, you can see they have the same, they have here the same numbers because I just made a reference to this here. So interesting is, when I change now this value of the reference, let's change it. And how we change our reference value? We just use the name, the variable name. So let's use it fast. And then I want to show you something more. When I use here the reference name, and then let's say I assign it a number 3, and now I print all the thing here again out. And I do this one so, and you can see now I have not only changed the reference value, I have also changed at the same time the value of my original number. And you would, as a starter, they say, why the hell I would make this? It is changing my original value. I don't want this. Normally you don't want this. Normally in programming you want something like, if you create here a number and then you have here a number, they should not interfere to other values, right? This is so the normal thought about variables, but this is actually the thing about reference. You are doing this intentionally. And why you are doing this intentionally? Because there are use cases which this one is really needed. So let's continue and see where we need a use case where we changed the reference and the original number is changed too. So to see this use case, we have to dive into functions. So we learn a new place to use this reference, and in function parameters, actually, let's create a function, and we know we can't create a function in another function. So I have to go down here. I write here a void function, and I call this, let's see, my telephone number changed. And I'm changing my telephone number, and then I give here a parameter. You should know this, for example, int, and then I call this my telephone number, telephone number changing, something like that. And then we make our curly brackets. Then we will have here our output. But before we have our output, we have to watch these parameters here, because now this parameter we are changing, because right now this is just a normal variable declaration, right? We declare here just a int with the name my telephone number changing. Now I change this one here to a reference, and that's very easy. I just use again this ampersand. Now this one has an ampersand, and now I'm going to use this, my telephone number changing. I use this variable name here, and I say, okay, I change it to let's see, I change it now to 5555555, just to see this one. So, and let's continue. So what I did here is just I changed this number here, and normally you would expect, okay, this is just a normal function call, and yeah, it has changed here this variable here, but that's it. And let's see if this is true, if it's just changed this number here. So first of all, I need a forward declaration because I put it here. Let's make a fast forward declaration, and we know how to make a forward declaration. We just copy this one, we put it on top so our start point know it. Let's paste it, and this one is our forward declaration, and I won't call it here. That's why I needed a forward declaration, and I call it here. And this time I call this one, let's call this one almost here, copy this one, paste this one, get rid of this one, and I want call actually, let's see, not this reference here, I want to use this one. I want, oh, perhaps we use this telephone number here. I use this telephone number here. I sent this as an argument, my telephone number. And now you see, this one is just a normal call. And let's see what happens here. And you can, let's start and see before I talk. And interesting is, I forgot the output, sorry. I need, of course, an output again. Let's copy this line here. Let's put it here and see what happens. Again, All right. And you can see now 555, 555 all becomes 555. And the question is now why? Why becomes all 555? So first of all, I make the function call, right? This is just a function call. We learned this. We have here our function name, here our argument, which is this my telephone number. And now I used here a reference. Like this one is also creating a reference. So this one is also analyzing this one here. So it is connected to this one as well. And what I did then is I used this reference here in my body and I changed it to 555. And now the strange thing is that this one is also changing this number here on top. And why is this a little bit strange? Because this reference can be anywhere in the code, so it must be not right after below it, so in another file or anywhere, and it can change a variable which is anywhere which you can't see right now. So this is the thing which we have to learn at starters to use it. It's not very easy at start, but it's possible. So, and that's why I will stop here, because we have to train this a little bit. And now we know. There is one more thing which I have to mention is sometimes there are, let's call it, so with this technique, there are sometimes even creating backwards assignments, let's call it this way. So with what I mean with backward assignment is, for example, let me create here a new variable. Fast, oops, not here. Here. Let's create here int my let's say Maggie's telephone number. But Maggie's telephone number is here actually assigned, not really assigned, only a default value, right? You can see this one is just a variable declaration design with a default value. So it's not the real telephone number. And now what you can do is now use this function here and assign this value here later, and they are doing this often in programming, and it's a little bit difficult, but how we are doing this very easy. Let's copy this line here perhaps and paste it. So, and instead of my telephone number, I call now Maggie's telephone number, here. And then I print out as well Maggie's telephone number here to see it. Copy. And change all here to Maggie's telephone number. And that's it so far. And what I did here is, let me show you this one. You can see, okay, let's change this one perhaps to yeah. So you can see Maggie's telephone number was 0, right? Assigned at start, default value. And later, they used now this function to assign a value to this start value. Let's call it to the default value. And you will see something like this in programming as well. And this is a little bit irritating for starters, can cause sometimes irritations, and you have to track then these variables backwards, which is not really intuitive. What I mean with that intuitive is you start here with a number, it has an assignment, or it will assign anywhere later, right? So anywhere later you can assign this, you take this variable name here and then you assign it later, and you know this one is connected with this one. But with this reference functions here, this is a little bit changed because it is called here in the parameters, it's referenced here in the parameters, and you say, hey, how the hell I get this value here? It starts with 0 and later it was getting a value and I don't know where. So be aware of that. I made this example only here because this can cause irritations later, and you have to find this one. And I think I stopped now because we need first understand these little steps which I made here, and we will train this of course a little bit more. And I hope, and of course read this again online and in a C++ book, because this one is more or less just the practical use what I show you here. Yes, and with that said, if you have any questions or any complaints, write it in the comments, and see you in the next video. Bye.